installment of the Dani and Paul show. And Danny's here, of course, and we're going to talk today. As I promised last week, we're going to talk about revenue because a lot of the clients are, striving to 10x their revenue and bring it up. And we're going to talk about creative ways to do that, um, kind
And
of
I think this
industry
is
ubiquitously.
love that. Love that. I was just gonna share that I hope this is everybody's favorite topic, money, money, money.
Yeah.
Money, money. We all deserve a lot of it.
Yeah, that's the kind of key about entrepreneurship. You work
Mm,
for far harder than the money you make until it switches, and then you get way overpaid. Right? If you do
yeah,
it right, you get way overpaid. So
that's right.
um, that's one of my favorite parts of entrepreneurship. Actually, is maintaining the eye on the ball till you start getting overpaid and then start scaling your business. So it's kind of interesting. So, what are we going to talk about first here, Danny?
I think a good place to start would be, you know what? Let's start simple. What is revenue? Right? I mean, I
Wow.
know most of our clients, but I don't know, I don't know who's watching out there, right? We want to make
Yeah.
sure that we're, what perhaps we should start off then, what's revenue versus profit, because sometimes that gets messed up in
Hmm.
at least in some people's minds. So, do you want to talk about that? You want me to talk
Yeah, I
about
mean, we can talk about that a little bit. I don't want to get
Oh,
into
great. Oh, no.
accounting infrastructure, but we
Absolutely.
can get into the basis because I mean, revenue is the money that you exchange for your product or that your customer exchanges for your product or service. So at the end of the day is you provide a service, and I mean, we can go way back when it replaced the barter system. We used to exchange, a bale of hay for a slab of meat, and everybody would do that. But we needed a central way to exchange services or products so that even though you didn't have the product somebody want, but they wanted yours, you had something to exchange in place. Because if all I
Mhm.
ever had was hay and all you had was meat, and I needed bird seed, we had a problem, right?
Right.
so,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, and then we drive into profit. Profit is all my expenses
Mhm.
and taxes
Mhm.
and all the stuff that goes into running the business, the outflows of money, the costs, the accounting costs, all of that dropped out of my revenue is my profit.
Yeah.
And most companies don't make a profit for the first couple of years.
Yeah. True. Very, very true. Yeah. I like to, revenue is all about the sales. It's sales. And then profit is how much you have to take out what it costs to build the widget that the person is selling. And like you just said, all those other things that then leave you that profit, that extra money on the table after everybody else has been paid. Um, totally oversimplifying, but I just wanted to make sure that people, just understood, because we are talking about revenue streams today, that they just kind of understood that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we're in business. We're going to, we have our core business. So we sell, I like the widget. I come back from the widget days, but um, so we're selling a widget.
Yeah.
We've got one widget, and let's say we're doing $1,000 a month
Mhm. Mhm.
with that one widget.
Mhm.
So what do we do? Right? A little frustrated with $1,000 a month. We're selling, we're doing our thing, we're selling that widget. What do we do from there? How do we keep money coming in?
Yeah. Yeah. So one way is to, what other avenues can we generate more revenue? Should we add a different type of widget? Should we add a, client services attached to how to implement that widget? So, we could expand into different markets. I think that's the first place we can start there.
Yeah, absolutely. So there, I mean, to my mind, there's a few ways to add in if your existing product line and you are successful, and there's a few ways to grow, right? Because when you talk about increasing revenue, you're really talking about growing the company. Um, and there's a couple of ways to think. There's a book written a long time ago, and it identified what they call the hedgehog idea. And the hedgehog can only focus on one thing. That's all hedgehogs can do.
Mm.
And so when you add like new widgets or new services, they have to bolt on and complement what you already add.
Mhm.
So you can go out and look for new product to add in so that you can add it to your existing product. And I'll use, well, since I got a client who's kind of looking at the pool industry, I'll use the pool industry for an example. So if
Like
you have a,
water pool
like
or
water
swimming
pool as
pool?
opposed to shooting pool. Yeah, that's a whole different revenue stream. I used to do that when I was in the Navy. I'd make an extra $1,000 on a Friday night
Mm.
shooting pool. So yes, that is an additional revenue stream, but we're going to keep the gambling out of this for this episode. Maybe we can go in uh, how to bilk your best friend on a different episode. Um, yeah, so cleaning pools, keep it simple, really kind of a simple idea. A pool cleaner goes to, and he's able, I think by industry averages, he's able to clean 20 pools a day. Okay, and that's a lot of pools, but he's one guy. And so how's this one guy, without hiring anybody else, getting real complicated,
Mhm.
add revenue to his existing revenue stream? Well, there's a couple of ways to do that. Number one, you could raise his prices. Okay. If he is delivering exemplary services, he's doing that better than everyone else, he could do a price raise. And that would instantly raise revenue. Now he's going to lose a couple of customers doing that.
Mhm.
There's no way to get around that because you're going to have customers balk at it. But if he does just a small raise in his prices, and loses very few customers, then he'll actually increase his revenue. I just had a client do this last month. He raised the price of his product 25 cents across the board,
Mhm.
and that ended up being an additional $400,000 a year in revenue.
Mm. Yeah.
So, and none of his clients balked. The
Yeah.
25 cents didn't even get off their
Mhm.
thing. So, to change the cash flow perspective, you can raise your revenue.
Mhm.
Um, The second thing you could do is the bolt on products, as I just talked about. One of the best things you can do is find like products that fit into your product mix. Um, Build an app so that you have constant communication with your products as a pool guy, and then start bringing in, these could be floaties for the kids,
Mhm.
that type of stuff, and offer that stuff through your app because you're reporting, your pool cleaning, the chemicals, and all that stuff to the app, and kind of going from there. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. I'm sure you have a couple. I just wanted to share a few. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the pool industry, and how I can add value there. Um, yeah, bolting on extra services, like you said, raising prices, um, um,
Well,
growing your market. y-
mhm.
You know, go ahead.
We can shift that over to software too, because that's our industry. Software
That's
guys
easier
really,
for me. I don't know why. It shouldn't be. It's all the same, but
it's all the same. But even if we shifted it to software, and we have a software that we're providing, let's say whatever industry,
Mhm.
and then we bring some, this term SME, subject matter experts. We bring in those and we build a consulting arm around the software that we're selling. So now we can add an additional, we call it getting deeper into the wallet, but
Mhm.
getting deeper into the wallet of our existing clients
Mhm.
right? By
Mhm.
providing additional services within the consulting or development area to help build out their applications. So we bring in SMEs. Now we have a consulting revenue or services revenue
Mhm.
to add on to our product revenue. So now I've brought it back over to software.
Great. Yeah.
Rock and roll.
Yeah. So with the services as well, when you're really deep in with your customer, they will also share things that they may want that you didn't even think of,
Mhm.
and that opens up a whole new beautiful box of things that you can offer. So then you can those basically free because they're paying you to be a consultant, but then they say, I want these things. You go back to your other clients and say, hey, would you be interested in this? They say yes. Sometimes a customer will even pay you to make it for them, but then you get
Mhm.
to resell it again to your other customers.
Yep.
So what is that considered, a bolt-on service? What would
Yeah,
you?
that's bolt on. That's true bolt on, right?
Yeah.
You're delivering a product or a service, and the customer goes, "Man, this is a great product. This is awesome. If it could only do this."
Mhm.
So a smart software company, they'll hear someone say that. They'll go, "If it could only do this," and the product manager will hear that from the sales guy, and the sales guy, if he's listening, will go, that may be a good idea. And then he'll go, you know what we need to do? We need to survey the rest of our customers, because if it could do this and everybody will buy it, we need to add it into our software, right? So now that's a true bolt. That's bolt in. That's additional. However, that generally doesn't create more revenue, because it's usually in the software. If you're adding services on the software, see, in today's software world,
Mm.
I think we're into continuous improvement, right? So that means it adds value to the software, but generally we don't up the price for a particular feature or function if we're bringing it across.
Mm.
However, it may make the software more attractive to other customers, because now you have a feature or function that your competitors don't have, and you can use that as to add more customers to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What about I've had many of my clients put together
Mm.
loyalty programs, um, which have which have lifted the customer relationship, but then has also allowed them to open up another stream of revenue that they perhaps wouldn't have thought of at the beginning.
Yeah, what do those look like? I mean,
Mhm. So with loyalty programs, I'm sure you see loyalty programs all over the place, whether it be even just at your grocery store or it's a trade for being loyal to a particular company. So
mm,
therefore, you know that that customer is going to continue to come back to you in exchange for whatever it is that you said that you were going to give them. Um, there may be technical terms that I'm missing out on, so feel
no,
free.
I think my favorite loyalty program is Delta Sky Miles.
Oh,
So,
my too. Yes, let me some Delta Sky
so
Miles.
I mean, we can take that model and rock it, because Delta does a very good, between Delta and American Express. I'm usually a pretty happy camper by the end of the year, and I'm doing my vacation travel completely free. Um, it fits for most service delivery. It fits for product. It fits for all of that. Adding, um, some people do it really well, and some companies don't.
Mhm.
And the difference is like Delta, for example. Delta sends me out a survey like all the time. So does
Mhm.
American Express. And part of that survey is like, A, how's the program going? And B, are we adding value? Right? Is the program adding value to your life? Now, that's for Delta, that's, yeah, absolutely. it's complete value. I feel great when I overspend on a ticket, and then I've just bought two tickets, or I get a companion certificate and I can fly, myself and my wife anywhere. It's just all kinds of value because I do a lot of business travel, and that funds my personal travel. So it's really nice. So the question is, but using the local hardware store
Mhm.
that we have here, where I live, you know, their loyalty program like ends up after I buy a bunch of stuff. At the end of the year, it's like worth $3.
Mm.
Okay, so I'm a guy who doesn't want 1,500 loyalty cards in my wallet,
Mhm.
um, even my digital wallet, and it's
Mhm.
kind of like so. Every time I go there, it's like, do you want to? Are you on the loyalty program? No. Do you want to be? No. It's not valuable. And they just kind of look at me, and they never ask me why. Why isn't it valuable? Well, because it doesn't do it. I mean, you need to do something else. You need to, maybe if you give me two $10 Starbucks cards, I'd find more value in that than after I spend $10,000 at your hardware store, I get $5,
Right.
right? So my perceived value of that is zero. So, and the only way to find that out, and this is the important part, the only way to find that out is talk to your customers. Talk if you're going to go with a value, or excuse me, a loyalty program. Make sure you find out what your customers find value. Don't assume it. Don't assume it's always money
Mhm.
you know um, Now if the hardware store maybe did this, they said, look, well, once you get up to so many points, we'll come out and do a pest inspection for your household once a year. Now that would have some value to it because it's a service I got to go out and find and hire. Cost me $70 to have them come out and look, and then if they find something, then the price starts jacking up. But to do the inspection for free, a they would come out and do the inspection, and B, they'd be able to deliver the service. So it's a two for the hardware store. And that, I think, for everybody who lives in my neighborhood would be valuable.
Mhm.
So, not that I speak for everybody in my neighborhood, but sometimes I might. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, so that's definitely a way to keep the revenue coming to you from those particular customers. Um, so definitely a good program.
Yeah,
We
definitely
talked.
focusing on the customer retention and then upselling because it's always easier to sell to somebody who's already purchased from you. So you want to retain your customers and have them sing your praises, which is then going to get you more customers as well. So to me, that's why a good loyalty program is important. Otherwise, you're just throwing money away, right? So I just wanted kind of to your point about what you were just saying. I wanted to make sure that we focused on that it is about the customers and focusing on our customers, where we will make more money, um, but then they also get a ton of value. So
Absolutely. One of the other ways to increase revenue through marketing activities is to foster strategic partnerships. So, what do you think about that, Miss Danny?
yeah, so I did a lot of this when I was in artificial intelligence sales of partnering with like a Salesforce, because then they have relationships with so many other companies that it just works in my favor to be able to partner with them, and then they kind of disseminate to all of their people once it's proven on my side that it's good, or the company side that what we're selling is good. So strategic partnerships, um, is massive, massive. Can take a long time depending on the industry, depending on who you're trying to partner with. There is a lot of although there is a lot of Sorry about that. Real life, y'all. There's a lot of there can be a lot of work that goes into that, just that partnerships, and sometimes it takes a long time, longer than one would expect. But I think that's also building a business, and um, you got to get that fire going and put many of the I want to say skillets in the fire, but that's not what I'm looking for. Brands? Nope. Mm,
Maybe brands.
mm.
So yeah, and to kind of bring that down out of enterprise, because Salesforce
Yeah.
is a monster.
Hmm.
Strategic partnerships are generally giant when it comes to Salesforce or up and coming. One of the things as an entrepreneur I found early in the career is sell pickaxes to gold miners is the kind of the underlying thing. So where Salesforce is the gold, all these companies wrap around Salesforce offering services to help use Salesforce better, or
Hmm.
otherwise known as pickaxes.
Hmm.
So strategic partnerships happen that way. But bringing it down to like the small business entrepreneur, how do I, as a get some strategic partnerships or collaborations going? And today it kind of wraps around social media, right? It kind of wraps around podcasts. You and I are strategic partners.
Hmm.
We're collaborating in in lives to deliver value to the world out there, and it's a collaboration. And there's a couple ways to go about that because you have to kind of target your collaboration, right? What do you want to accomplish? You always focus on outcomes and where you're going and who is it best to collaborate with. And like anything else, if you choose to collaborate with Kim Kardashian, um, a it's going to cost you a ton of money to do, and b you're going to need a ton of money to get her attention, right? So how do I build that from scratch? How do I get there? Um, and it is finding people who have more than you do, right? More followers, more this, more that, and trying to collaborate with them. Now that you can pay for collaboration, which get you on their podcast, get you on their live stream, get you on these modalities of delivering content, and start working with them. And you can pay to play. Sometimes if you're pushing, you want to push your product or your service, and you want the eyes of a certain person, then you can go out and pay. You have to understand what your payoff is going to be for doing that. So it's good to start slow in those collaborations, figure out how you can be effective, analyze what you've done and what the output was, and figure out why it worked or why it didn't work. Modify, adjust, do it again, repeat, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, and start growing your following, and then start working your way up the chain where you have, because the more followers you have in those particular areas or that are buying your product or doing that type of thing, then the more attractive you are for their podcast too, because now you're bringing two different marketplaces together under a single idea. And that's really how you
Thanks.
kind of build the collaboration.
Yeah. And then even in our communities, I mean, when I came back from Silicon Valley to San Diego, I collaborated with a bunch of different types of service providers because I am not a one stop shop. Right. So
Mhm.
I would collaborate with financial institutions who, were giving out loans, uh, giving out. I would,
Can can you introduce me to those people?
right.
Because if they're giving it, if they, I'm happy to get in line.
um, I would. I would also work with the legal community. I started my career in recruiting legal community, and so who are the up and coming businesses? Who are the startups? Who should I be speaking with? Then oh, I have a client that's thinking about going public. Let me introduce you to the law firm. So all of that collaboration within your community is is key to build not only your business but to build the networking and to build up your community to make more jobs so that everybody can hire more people and goes back to that money flow to everyone.
Absolutely. So, so I'm listening to this live, this podcast, whatever we want to call it, and I am haven't even opened my doors yet, right? So
Mhm.
I've got a little bit of product, and I'm trying to sell it online, and I'm doing that. It's a big monster. Where do I start, Danny? Where do I start?
You start by being proud, being excited. I am starting this business, and what is it that you're offering? Start to sing it from the rooftops. And hey, who can you introduce me to, or who do you know that could use a service like this? Um, you just start getting the the name out there, the information out there, who can you help, what value can you trade, what value can you give. So is that what you're asking about, or are you asking it in regards to revenue generation right out go the door?
Well, we're talking right now about uh, about developing a basis to start a community, as you said,
Hmm.
and how to build traction
Hmm.
and get people involved, and also come out of obscurity, for lack of a better term,
Hmm.
right? Because we're all in obscurity at a certain level. Not everyone knows who we are. People buy from who they
They don't
like
like
and who they trust,
it.
and they, more and more we need to be liked and trusted before people will even interact with us, because of the basis of social media at this point.
Hmm. Hmm.
um
Yeah, I see you. One is to be out there with your community. You can be out, ribbon cutting ceremonies, just celebrating other people, finding out what's going on, reading press releases of things that are happening in your community, so that you can start to incorporate um, being seen in those areas and constantly showing up in your community. That is when people are going, oh, I remember, I've seen you before. What is it that you do again? And then you can talk with them, see what you can do for them, open up your Rolodex, like, how can I help you? And then that's the start of a beautiful relationship. To then you can ask for something after you've delivered value to that community member.
all right, that's awesome. So we talked about digital. We pretty much talked about digital right there, right? So
Mhm,
we're
mhm,
coming up. What other things that you think are important? Let's say I was a coaching client of yours,
mhm,
and I was opening up my company, and I was selling sweatshirts on Instagram,
mhm, mhm,
right? Or I was, yeah, sweatshirts on Instagram. That's a great basic product. And I came to you and I said, Danny, I need the coaching, man.
mhm,
This is what I want to do.
mhm,
Where should I go with this? How am I going to get traction and get people to see these awesome sweatshirts that I made by hand?
mhm. Yes, you be your own consumer. Wear it proud, be loud and proud. Uh, Start to you give out some sweatshirts to people to have them wear them, that then you can take pictures and use in your social media. You can, set make sure that you have a way to take money. A lot of startups, sometimes they don't, startups in that capacity of like, I have a sweatshirt. making shop. How am I going to take somebody's money? That's very important. Why are you snickering?
I'm smiling because I run a few groups and that particular subject comes up and I go, you don't have a way to take money. Okay, so this is the most basic thing. That's the first thing you get set up is a way to get paid.
Mhm,
Um, I am of the fact I know a lot of companies go out there and they're worried about the costs of American Express passing, this percentage or that percentage. I am of the mind and operation. I will take money in any way you can give it to me.
mhm,
Okay, I have a client that sends me checks in the UPS.
mhm,
I will take it that way. I will take it through my Stripe platform in any way, shape, or form you want to get it. If you need to pay me in digital currency, I'll take it that way too. It's there's nothing that I put in my way to be able to accept a new client. I mean, if that was the only thing anybody got out of this
agreed.
today, is take money from clients in any way they'll give it to you.
Mhm,
Um, you know what? That I'd rather have $500 come in at 4% kick from back to American Express than $0 coming in. In fact, my pricing is built to absorb that 4%.
mhm.
Um, Make it feel good. I mean, if it's really bugs you, price it so it feels good.
Yeah. It's all made up
Ultimately,
anyways.
it's all made up anyway, and it'll balance out.
Yeah.
Don't cut your own feet off by not accepting everything there is in the world to accept.
Mhm.
Minus going back to the barter system, taking a bale of hay. I won't take a bale of hay. So
Draw the line there.
I draw
Uh,
the line at the hay bale because I don't have horses anymore.
mm, funny
So
enough, I
yeah.
had a client, text me right before, this live, and she said, "Danny, I made my first sale. How do I take her money?" I swear. And even though on our first coaching session, I talked about, okay, well, we need to get a website set up, something simple. It can be a lead page, anything in which you can start accepting money. That was our very first meeting. That was 3 meetings ago. But now that she has her first sale, she's like, ah, the person gave her cash. So that was good. But she was like, moving forward, I'm like, great, here's what we're going to do. So, it does come up. It is so interesting how I feel that our talks, at least, are so relevant to me and you. Of course, we're coaches, but like, wow, I literally was like, "Girl, you need to be able to take some money. How are you taking money?" So yes, in any shape and form. I haven't set up, like somebody can pay me in crypto, or I don't I don't know how to do that. So.
I mean, honestly, most of the platforms now take crypto. So if you're
Mhm.
using Stripe or something like that, you can take crypto through Stripe,
Oh.
I believe. I haven't had anybody pay me in crypto yet, but
Mhm,
I would take
mhm.
it.
Okay.
And like if they were signing a contract and they said I'm paying in crypto, I would have crypto set up in about 30 seconds.
Okay.
It's just like, however, but with brick and mortar, it's a little bit more stiff, and some of the credit card processing. I understand why some people don't take it, but
Mhm,
it to me, to the 4%, even at a restaurant,
mhm,
right? I go into a restaurant and I pull out my credit card and they go, "Oh, we don't take that card."
mhm,
What if that's the only card I have?
mhm,
I've eaten dinner
mhm.
fully intending to pay for dinner, and they say, "I won't take your American Express." How does that make your customer feel?
Yeah.
How how am I going to ever go to that restaurant again?
Right.
Right? Because they won't take what I have. Is it on us to carry every credit card made so that we
Mhm.
have one that they take? I don't think so. I
That is
mean,
what has
it's
put Americans in so much debt.
yeah. I don't have anything left on this card. Why don't you try this one and this one and this one? Um, Sorry, sir.
Mhm,
But we do have a stack of pans in the back, so we do take that.
mhm,
Back to the barter system again.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but so I mean, look at your bottom line and go, can I absorb 4%? Yeah,
Yeah,
you probably can.
yeah,
4% of a dollar is 4 cents. Can
right.
you know? So take it any way you can, and if you're taking American Express all the time, then give yourself 4% bump on your pricing.
Mhm,
There you go. It's it
yeah,
it nets out, and now it becomes 0.003% hit on you.
yeah.
Um, you have to be creative around your pricing structure
Mhm,
so that you can accept stuff from everybody. Generating revenue, you have to be creative, um, and you can use pricing structures, additional products for sale. Of course, increasing your marketing so that you have more traffic coming in, more people to sell to. Um, and I think we talked about raising prices, which is,
mhm.
and offering services to other services to existing clients, which we talked about. It's
Mhm,
actually easier to sell to an existing client than
mhm.
it is to get a new client.
That's right.
It costs 10%, I think 10% or less to sell something new to an existing client than it does to sell a new client because the cost of sales are much higher.
Right.
So you have to look at your client base and people who have bought from you,
Mhm,
people who didn't buy from you and you captured their stuff. People, you have to kind of dig into your database and understand buying habits and bring new products to bear on those existing contacts.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, in the coaching realm, we have one-on-one clients, we have group coaching, we have people can watch videos. It's all a matter of where people fit in. Most of the time, clients end up doing one-on-ones with us, which is um, the more expensive package because it gets them the quickest result to what they want. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So I don't know if I have anything else to talk about that. I don't have any questions at this point. Um,
Okay,
we'll drop into Coach's Corner, figure out
cool.
what we learned this week.
Great.
So we'll start off with you, Danny. Who's your most interesting client, and
Yeah,
what did we learn this week?
I had a client who closed their first $30,000 mastermind, and that's to have somebody sign up per seat at $30,000 per seat. So
Nice.
yes, so and this is going to be ongoing. Her and I work together to put together a a plan of different curriculum to teach, and the mastermind is wrapped around that. So first she's getting them in the door for the mastermind, and then she's going to be able to sell them these other segments for depending on what their specialty is, because this is in the wellness sector. So
Mm-hmm.
so for that was she at first was very uncomfortable with the $30,000, and um, she just went for it. And she had 10 people in the room. We had hoped there was going to be 50, and I told her for 50 you needed to like reach out to 500, 5,000 to get the 50, but it was still very targeted. She knew who her target market was, and that's one of the things we worked on the very first week together. So she had the right people in the room and was able to sell one of them, and then the other ones she'll continue to be able to bring them in. So I think that's to just go for it. Go for it. Raise that price. Put it out there. Price is made up. Go for it.
Very cool. Very cool. So, my client of the week is a neurosurgeon in Scotland,
Mhm.
and we had a epiphany, both of us, as we were going through his stuff. He's working on a grand vision of building a certain type of clinics around the world, and of course, I'm not going to discuss the details, but we were talking about getting funding, and this is a really interesting thing because we talk a lot about sales and marketing, and we talk about the power base or the people that you know in that can help you get there, right? So in the session, we sat down and we said, okay, what I want you to do is list out everybody you know, first level, and how much they're worth,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So we sat down. I said, because the way you're going to get this started is through investment. So we need to find out friends and family, and of course, private equity and all that good kind of stuff. So he did that exercise and he came back and he goes, Paul, I can't believe it. And I said, what? He says, I got $10 billion in my network. And I said,
Mhm.
you got enough money to get these clinics started.
Mhm.
You need to start putting yourself in front of these people and start talking about what you're doing. To your point, Danny,
Mhm.
screaming out loud from the rooftops. If you
Mhm.
don't say it, it'll never happen.
Mhm.
And get in front of these people and start figuring out how you're going to get in front of these people. But he had that amount of money throughout the world in contacts, and he couldn't believe it. It was an amazing transition moment for him, and gave him the confidence that he's going to get this done because
Mhm.
now he knows where funding sources are.
So good.
And I think that's an important thing for us all to realize is that there are people out there that want to help us get our visions done, but we got to sit down and identify them. And we already know them. That's the scary part, right?
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
know them, but we don't think about it
Mhm.
and,
Mhm.
and get them on paper and then figure out how you're going to approach them and ask for their help. So
Mhm.
I think that was a giant what coach's corner moment epiphany between client and coach, and I'm excited for him, of course, in
Very
this
exciting. Yeah.
amazing situation. So
Very
so
good.
now he's putting together his pitch deck
Mhm.
and he's getting ready to roll. So
Cool. Cool.
all
Yeah, because
right,
your network is your net worth, and then
that's
contracts or contacts equal contracts, right?
that's right. So awesome. So what did we get out of today, Danny? I'm gonna let you roll with the close.
All right. Well, today we talked all about revenue and how to different revenue streams, how to think about it, how to roll some things out, um, to really to really be focused on um, what your product or service is, and then how can you expand that product or service, whether it be through those partnerships, collaborations, through loyalty programs, through digital marketing, and scream from the rooftops. So kind of a very diverse, all very important. You can do this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I would say those are the big takeaways. Another one I would add to that is realize your network,
Mhm.
realize what's there and what you have in support. Don't forget that, and get out of your house. If you're doing online marketing, market it in the street,
Mhm.
and go where your clients are at
Yeah.
or where your potential customers are at and
Mhm.
meet them there, and it makes it easier for them to buy.
Mhm.
All right, gonna
All
close
with
up.
mechanism to be able to actually swipe their credit
Oh
card.
yeah, that would be good. That's good. Don't want to go out there without that.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for today. And we're going to be back next week. We are actually going to be posting our events going forward. So everyone's going to know what we're going to talk about on the way through. and we may have some guests coming up. So,
Woohoo.
oh, woohoo. So, all right, we're going to rock and roll. I hope everybody has a great week and a good weekend coming up, and we're out.
All right. Take care.